I'm going to leave this country because they set me up, you know what I mean, in LA. So I said, if you want it, you can keep it. You got the judges, right? You got the FBI, you got all the police, you got everything, and you still cheating, right? So I said, hey man, I ain't got a chance. That's why I left the country. I said, man, I don't, plus my little research. But anyway, when I got there, I went to Algeria because the Black Panther Party in exile was there. And it was something happened about a year or two before where Huey Newton had an interview on one of the morning shows in California between him and Eldridge Cleaver. And Eldridge was trying to undermine him or something like that. And then Huey, when he came out of prison, he was really messed up. We all know that story. But anyway, when we had that meeting, I presented my proposal to him. I said, well, now I done already gave him a lot of money, you know. Not the whole thing, but I gave him a lot of money. So anyway, I tell him the way we can support rebellion, because remember the idea is we could organize, we go back to America and take over, you know. That was, well, when you're young, I mean, that's what you think you can do it. So that was the whole idea. That was supposed to be the idea. That we get organized, and then just like they went back to South Africa, they had to struggle a long time. You know, all the liberation movements was going out of the country. And they were in Algeria, they was in Tanzania. Every country that I lived in, like Algeria and Tanzania, was a frontline state. They had got their liberation a few years before. For Algeria, it was about 8 or 9 years, 62. And Tanzania, about 63 and 64. So they invited liberation movements in, and they gave them support, you know, from SWAPO, all the liberation movements, because remember, in those days, Africa was only half free. It was still Angola, man, Mozambique, almost everybody, not everybody, but it was about half free, and the other half was still colonized. Or it was about 40% colonized. And if you take South Africa, it boosts it back up to 50%. So if you look at the numbers, the people that had got their liberation would support the ones that were still fighting. So the only places that I would live was places like that, which really was Algeria, because they wouldn't send you back here. We wouldn't live in Kenya, because Kenya would send you back. Or they would let the FBI grab you, put you on an airplane like they did one of our friends, and land at Kennedy and arrest you at Kennedy Airport. It's a dirty trick, you know what I mean? But that's the way they would do. So anyway, Setaway, I might have a picture of Setaway, at least on one of these magazines. Where? Anyway, Setaway wrote the book Dope Plus Capitalism. He didn't believe. I remember he was telling me, he said, I was telling him that, hey, by the way, this is Pete O'Neill, this is his wife Charlotte right here. So, that's him right there. That should be. This is some of the staff, DC from Oakland. Michael Tabor. That's him right here. This is Connie Masterson. This right here is Michael Setaway. That's Setaway right there. This is DC. This is Uncle Elvis. No, man, Uncle Elvis has got everybody killed. That boy was just unbelievable. You know. Plus, he was funny. You know, I ain't gonna talk about him because he's dead. But that's what he just said. He's dead good. Yeah, this is a better picture of him right here. Right there. Okay. The 7-way minus the board. The argument was, or the discussion. It wasn't an argument, it was a discussion. They rejected my proposal on the platform, but actually half the people there thought it was a great idea, but they couldn't go against the general vote, the vote. So my idea was, look, we need to do something about America. It's going to take a lot of money, and we can't depend on other people. So we raise our own money. They said, well, what do you have in mind? I said, well, we'll start a drug cartel. And we'll smuggle drugs wherever we want. We can smuggle them to Europe, take the money into America. We can smuggle them anywhere we want. You know what I mean? Not just America, where you kill everybody. But you can smuggle them anywhere you want. You got the world at you. You know, you can hook it up. So they said no, and what Setaway said was, I don't believe that all of those drug dealers are going to do like you did, which they didn't. He was right. He was 100% right. I was going off an emotion. That since they did me this way, everybody that's like me is going to make the same decision I made. They're going to become revolutionaries. Because all their friends are becoming big-time revolutionary. You know, it's George Jackson, Fleeta Drungo, all the Soledad brothers, everybody, the W.L. Nolan and all them guys, those guys, we was in prison together. Not prison, we came up together in a little bitty kiddie prison. You know, where you come up in the state. And by the time, Fleeta Drungo was my workout partner, Tracy. If I wouldn't have went home in '65, if I'd have waited a few months and got transferred to Soledad with him, I would have been one of the Soledad brothers, you know. But that's why I feel it's the whole thing that's been going on for years seems to follow that I just got a break. I went through all the troubles and hassles that everybody else did, but I just got a break and I did this, right? And some kind of way it eased away. So that's why I feel so serious about this, you know. Like that's why I was showing Malcolm's picture the other day, you know, Malcolm Shabazz. He got killed in Mexico because he didn't have enough game yet, you know what I mean? And everything them bums was doing, to him, he was developing. And the minute he turned the corner and start developing, bam, he was dead. They sent him down to Mexico to get killed. He don't even speak Spanish. Supposed to speak down there. Yeah, and all of that. So they sent him down there and beat him to death. They beat him to death. Yeah. So that's why we feel obligated. All of these brothers, almost every one of them is dead. Pete is the only one that's still alive. Pete and Charlotte. And Pete is not a teenager. Pete is older than I am. So, in fact, since we're on that subject, that wasn't what we was going to talk about, let me find a letter. Y'all remember I gave y'all a copy of a letter not long ago from Pete that he had sent me. When I asked y'all to look up his organization on the email or something like that. Okay, letter. Let's see what we got. Because he wrote it right here, and let me see. I thought I had brought it with me. Actually, it just seems like we just would be dropping right into the subject if it's here. We'll give it one more shot, and after that, we're going to call it a day. But anyway, so Pete wrote a letter here, and I knew all of his friends because he was from Kansas City. And when they sent me from McNeil Island to Kansas City, to Leavenworth. Leavenworth is 35 miles from Kansas City. Everybody, so it was right there where he's from. And so I got a chance to talk to all of his friends about where he was coming from as a person. But anyway, it don't seem like I could find that letter, but I had swore that I had brought it. I'm going to look just one more time because it will make a lot more sense if I can read that letter. So everybody bear with me for a second. What I didn't do was say this one. That's why I can't find it. But anyway, it was a good letter, and the letter was talking about the same letter where he was asking me to send him some tapes, some more CDs that he liked them, and there's one he had lost. Now Pete, he took over the party when Elder stepped down in '72. So Pete O'Neill was head of security when I was there. He took your picture and made a folder. You had a folder, like a little ID card. They just kept check of the people who came there. So anyway, he had one of me. He took care of all that stuff, and then he moved to Tanzania after I had lived there for a while. Because Tanzania was black Africa, and Algeria was Arab Africa. So we was kind of, we didn't feel too comfortable in Algeria because of the culture. We Negroes, I went to a nightclub in Algeria and it wasn't nothing happened to men because they Muslim. What you go to a nightclub to catch, right? So I'm at the nightclub and ain't nobody drinking alcohol, they drinking tea. And about 40, let's say, at least 35% of the women wore niqab. Now guess what? The Negroes chose those women to be hitting on. That's why they got put out of, no, I'm telling you, these are the words that Pete told me, and if he's watching it, he said it. He said, man, he said vagina. Well, he actually said pussy. Pussy got us put out of Algeria. Not Arabs, it's like they hitting on the women with niqab. And one of my friends, who I show you a picture sometime, he was telling me, boy, when we get home to one of them girls, the Negro was kind of juicing them up a little bit, and maybe the Arabs wasn't. And they'd be, I said, and I was a kind of a Muslim, Nation of Islam. I said, that stuff ain't gonna fly. That ain't gonna fly. here. And they kept on. And they stayed high all the time. They go down to the Rudy Douche Murad and buy hashish almost every day. So I told them at the same meeting, I said, you can't have no revolution. Now remember, I was already disciplined. That's how I happened to get rich. And just before I left, I got my big time discipline back. You know, running in the hills regularly and lifting iron and all that stuff. So I told them, I said, you can't be getting high. And, you can't be messing around and having no revolution. It ain't gonna work. And it didn't work. But anyway, let me read this little from Pete O'Neill. Brother Musa, a brief note of greetings and an opportunity to express our pride in the work you are doing. Every morning I go for a 4-mile walk. He's up in the mountains, not in any physical mountain, but he's up near Mount Meru, which is 14,000 feet up. And you can see Kilimanjaro 38 miles away. So it's up in the mountains of Tanzania. In other words, it's good weather up there. It's cool at night, not too hot in the day. It's not like Dar es Salaam, sea level, tropics, burning up all the time, snakes and everything running all around. Snakes in your house. You can't get a house that don't. No, it has lizards, like in here. I'll finish reading the letter. In here, it would be a lot of lizards. And we could see them very easy because they would change color and they would think the color that they changed is the color. That's white. They can't change that color. But they think they did. So we would go running out there and said, leave them alone. Those lizards are going to eat up all the flies. They're going to keep your house clean. So, okay. So you get used to living with 8 or 9 lizards just hanging on the wall. I mean, all the houses, you just get used to that. And snakes going everywhere. One time, big old snake showed up at let's call it a barbecue, like, shoot. And the Negroes from here was going to run and kill the snake. They say, stop, stop. That might be one of our ancestors. And the Negroes all there had PhDs, they was big educated, didn't make no difference. That might be one of our ancestors. So, yeah, probably is. It looked like half the niggas here. So, you just have to get used to real African culture. And the way they drive, they hang one of them little things, a good luck charm up on the thing, and they be driving they be killing themselves. You think they committing suicide because a good luck charm that they hung up there is going to look out for them. You don't have to worry about that. They believe that. Well, okay. I'm talking about 50 years ago, Africa. Africa is different now. One of the little sisters that come here from Tanzania, she told me, you wouldn't know Dar es Salaam now, because I'm telling her, yeah, we used to catch the ferry, they get clunk, clunk, clunk over the Kurasini and all that. Now they probably got giant bridges, so that was 50 years ago. But let me finish reading about Pete. You'll get an idea. During that time, I used a Walkman to listen to political speeches or historical discussions. As well, I listened to the recordings of your khutbahs. They are very enlightening and informative. I would be very grateful if you were able to send others. I lost the one where you talked about your experiences in East Africa, where we was. Would love to have that again. We as well are pleased with our work. We feel we are continuing the work of the Black Panther Party with dignity. They have United African American Community Center. They have a community center there. Now it's called the United African American Community. It used to be called the Malcolm X Community Center, and they teach the kids. They feed kids. They have a good educational program for with computers and all of that. They really bring the kids up to date. They technically educate them. So he stayed in exile. He's never been back here. But they're doing the work. That was his evolution. He said, I'm not coming back here. In fact, he sent me a tape back in '83. He said, he was on the tape, he was talking about one of our friends, we used to call him Professor, that passed away. This guy's mother, Professor, was a Garveyite. And he used to talk about when his mother came to, remember Marcus Garvey's newspapers and all that would go all along the coast of Africa. And they would inspire the Negro improvement. He was inspiring people all over the world.
Kwame Nkrumah said that.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, Kwame Nkrumah was just about juiced up by him.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, by Marcus Garvey. So don't worry about, oh, man, ain't nobody paying no attention to us. Bull crap. Everybody paying, not everybody, but there's people paying attention. So anyway, the professor passed away. That was in '83. So Pete, he did a video and he was talking about some of the things that he said, I'm really thinking about giving up my U.S. citizenship. And he said, I hear that they got stuff over there, people wearing curly cues on their head, and he talked about plastic bags with, you know, they would curve, all that stuff. He said, and that's in '83, and they was really doing that.
Sure were.
He said, I don't know if I could even handle all of that stuff, you know. And so it was such a difference. In '83, that was only about 15 years difference when, yeah, about 15, 16 different years from when when everybody left. Let me speed up. So, good brother,